Previously on the Rod Pedersen Show.
Mark Spector. I spent more time with Mark Spector last night than I ever have.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Yeah.
what a great guy. Oh, my, he wanted to know everything about me and this show and Florida. And I'm like, what a great guy. 12 hours later, he's embroiled in this Twitter horrible thing. And I'm like, now I'm on Mark's side because I got to know him. Like, he didn't do anything wrong.
You know, Rod, I think that's one of the things, and you know from your time around athletes and people, you end up, listen, I grew up an Oilers fan, so yeah, I'm an Oilers fan, and I work at not showing that on TV, and with time, it becomes easier because you pull for people, right? You know, Carter Verhaeghe had such a great quote after his 100th goal, which he scored his 101st last night. Former Lightning, current Panther, and he just, you know, he talked about being in the ECHL, and it took him 6 years and 2 trades to get to the NHL. So you start cheering for people, and we all have our favorite teams. I mean, that doesn't go away. It doesn't. You don't put it in a garbage can and leave it behind in a hotel room. And Mark, I've known Mark almost 40 years, to be honest with you, back in the University of Alberta days, CJSR radio station there. We used to do sports updates, both of us trying to make it in the media world. And yeah, we arrived in Carolina, and I saw the back and forth with Tim Peel, a former NHL referee who I've always had good dealings with. You know, Tim was always a really engaging guy to chat with, and but you know, if you didn't see or hadn't heard, Tim posted on Twitter a text conversation between the two, and last I checked, I think it had 1.4 million likes.
Get ready for the Rod Pedersen Show.
It's very clear to me. What I say last hour, Darren, I see things before everybody else, and everybody calls me crazy, and then what I say comes to fruition, and nobody comes back and apologizes and goes, yeah, you were right.
How about that?
Like, I mean, nobody. But I'm used to it. I don't get upset about it anymore.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Yeah, no, not at all. Not at all. Nope, over that. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the RP Show. Yeah, daytime sports talk, or as I just tweeted, refreshing sports talk. It's not the same gobbledygook that you're getting in your local market. We have a lot of fun here. We very clearly don't take ourselves very seriously. And I'm in very rainy South Florida right now. Darren Moose DuPont is in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, where did you get your ears lowered today? Was that this morning, or are you doing that this afternoon? What's up?
Yeah, just got them lowered about, 2 hours ago. So fresh and ready for the day.
Feeling lighter, I'm sure. I got my hair cut yesterday. Thanks for noticing, Moose, from my gal, Melissa. She's in our club, and she's really cool, and it was nice, and away we go. Can you hit the Quick Six show horn, please? Tuna, Director Tuna today, and we'll get...
Yes.
I'll tell you this. The guests are Mo Egger from ESPN Cincinnati. I assume they survived the Cincinnati radio surviving Thanksgiving and turkeys dropping out of the sky. Mo Egger will be with us in hour one talking about the Bengals, who astonishingly are winning without Joe Burrow. I don't get it either. And coming up in hour two, a late ad. Thank you to our guy Jason Greger from Sports 1440 Radio in Edmonton. Jason Greger will join us to talk one of the hottest teams in the NHL. And Darren, if you'll allow me, that is our poll question. Let's get to it right out of the gate. For Key Auto Group, we do it every day. At the Key Auto Group, you can buy with confidence knowing that they provide reports on all vehicles they sell. Get fully informed about your next vehicle by going to keyautogroup.ca. Producer Clark came up with this question. Who is the best NHL team in Canada? Initially, we were going to say, what's the best NHL team, period? But Clark came up with the Canadian twist. And your options are the hottest teams in Canada right now. The Toronto Maple Leafs, the Edmonton Oilers, Winnipeg Jets or Vancouver Canucks. And while you take a second to munch on that and mull it over, I'll just talk about the leftovers because we've got breaking news from the NHL that we'll get to after that. Big hockey day today on the RP show. Just going to let everybody know about that, other than we've got some interesting news about the agent for Tommy DeVito and how it pertains to this show. So stick around, New York Giants fans and NFL fans. That's coming down the pipe too. But a big night for Toronto forward Austin Matthews in a 7-3 Leafs win over the New York Rangers at MSG. He scored twice and added 2 assists. Mitch Marner also scored a pair for the visiting Leafs. Elsewhere, Carolina scored 3 times in the second period in a 4-1 victory over the Sens. And some of the other games on the scoreboard, Seattle blanked the Florida Panthers 4-0. Tampa Bay Lightning lost in Vancouver 4-1. Serena and I are recording our Cats and Bolts podcast later on this afternoon, so I won't bore you people with the Florida and Tampa Bay NHL talk. Oilers beat Chicago 4-1. Bedard scored the lone goal for the Blackhawks. It's just like when he was with the Pats. If Connor doesn't score, nobody does. And San Jose beat Winnipeg 2-1. In San Jose, we learned Kyle Connor's going to be out 6 to 8 weeks for the Jets with the knee injury. And did I mention Vegas beat Calgary in overtime 5-4? So those are the scores from last night. I want to ask you this. I mentioned in my commentary today something that I had mentioned on this show yesterday. The Leafs play only as hard as they have to. I watched that game last night, and I'm assuming you did. I would think you were on the edge of your seat. It ended up 7-3, but it was a way closer game than that, I felt. Right? Like the Rangers just wouldn't go away. And to be honest, I thought maybe the Leafs were going to blow this around the middle period of the middle part of the second period. But my point, Darren, is that when I say the Leafs only play as hard as they have to, I still think that's the case. It's not a criticism necessarily, but I had a Leafs fan write me and say, you're right, but when they run up against a heavy team like the Vegas Golden Knights, they're going to lose. And I'm like, yeah, I didn't say they're going to win the Stanley Cup. What I'm saying is they're very good, and they only work as hard as they have to. They don't play the same type of style as Vegas, and if they get all the way to the Stanley Cup final against Vegas, you know what? They'll probably be happy in Toronto that you made it this far. But I'm not sure I ever got an agreement or a disagreement with you on that assertion of mine that the Leafs only play as hard as they have to.
Yeah, I would tend to lean towards agreeing with you because I think that they're not engaged the entire time, it feels like. You know, you wonder when they're going to be engaged. And when they are, and when the motor is going and the energy is there, and the effort is at 100, yeah, they can play with everybody, dictate, play, and all the rest. But I feel like you say they sit back a lot and don't really turn it on unless they need to. And it can be a problem. And I think that's where, you know, Toronto hockey fans, you know, watch a Vegas, or right now when you watch Edmonton or you watch Colorado play, they are going at 100 or close to it all the time. They don't always win, but their motor is always going. When the Lightning were having their success and getting to those Stanley Cups, the motor's always going. You never take a shift off, right? And we don't get that out of Toronto. And that's frustrating to watch, but they do turn it on when they need to and find a way to win. And turns out in the end, yeah, that game was closer than it needed to be last night for a while.
Yeah, and I appreciate that, those thoughts. I think it's good to not have any vested bias towards the Leafs. I don't have any. And it's hard to get angry at a Kyle Dubas. It's hard to get angry at a Sheldon Keefe when they've assembled this talent on this team that's as good as anybody in the NHL. But it's not new. I go back to the bubble series when they went in round 1, wasn't it, against Montreal, a 7-game series? You remember at the time watching, I think you and I might have been together, but I remember us saying, they look disinterested. These are all the same guys for the most part, except Jack Campbell was the goalie. Now, they looked interested last night. They won 7-3 at the Rangers. And the reason I'm very confident in saying they only play as hard as they have to is because I saw that with my beloved God's team, the Regina Pats. We had a team in 2017 that went all the way to the league final. To be honest, it was a pro team. You might recognize some of the names, people. Sam Steele, Adam Brooks, Josh Mahura, Connor Hobbs. They were a pro team. All those guys went on to the NHL or pro, and they only played as hard as they have to. And it annoyed the hell out of me. And then they got up against the Seattle Thunderbirds in the WHL final, and I remember the scout saying to me, this ain't going to be good for the Pats. To be honest, it was like the first time I ever heard the term heavy. And I said, why? They said, Seattle plays a heavy game. I'm like, I don't really understand what that is. You will. And Seattle won in 6 games, and they celebrated on the Brandt Center ice, and I was crying, and the Pats were crying, and everybody was crying. And it just reminds me how the Leaf season ended last year here in Florida. All their fans crying in the crowd. I was there. That's what happens. So, again, what do you – I know what you're saying. So you're saying you wish that they would play a little more – take it a little more seriously, like Colorado and Vegas? Those are 2 Western Conference teams. They play it different out there than this Atlantic Division. You know that, right?
Yeah, I know, and we see it all the time. The only team that doesn't seem to take games off or seems to have more of a consistent, effort and always be a threat is Boston. They're the one team that doesn't play like that when it comes to that Atlantic Division and out east here.
And by the way, look where they are. By the way, I'm glad you brought up the Bruins. Al has written in on the 902 line, the Sober Carpenter text line. What a wonderful segue. Sober Carpenter, non-alcoholic craft beers, the proud sponsor of our text line. Ask for them by name in your favorite beer, wine, and spirit store. Al in Regina writes, and he says, hi, RP and DD. I like your show. Huge Bruins fan here, and after last year's record-setting regular season, sure made it a hard pill to swallow in the playoffs. Hope to see you both at Deer Valley in May of 2024 for another golf season. Thank you, Al. Thanks for watching. Al, I believe, is one of the marshals out there. I'm sure that we'll be at Deer Valley this summer, but I don't know what I'm doing this afternoon. So thanks and happy holidays, and miss you, Al. You're a good man. Now, the breaking news from the NHL isn't breaking news since we went to air today, but Craig Berube is paying the price for the St. Louis Blues' struggles this season. He was fired after Detroit beat St. Louis 6-4. The Blues have dropped 4 in a row and are below the 500 mark. He guided the Blues to their only Stanley Cup championship in 2019. And it kind of reminds me of how long we've been on the air with this show now in year 5. Because I remember do you remember when he took the Blues to the Stanley Cup final against Boston? I'll never forget, whatever game it was in the Stanley Cup final, in the rink. I still call it the Savvis Center, Kiel Center. I don't know what it is now. And they're like, they're introducing the Blues before the game. And the public address announcer, he's going through Jordan Bennington, starting in goal. Braden Shen, Tyler Bozak. And then and interim head coach, Craig Berube. I'm like, he took over in November, guys. It's now the Stanley Cup final. Can we take interim off his name? And to be honest, that felt like last year. But as I look back, it's his 6th season with the Blues. So I guess to me, it feels a little rash and fast, but I guess if you're in St. Louis and if you're Doug Armstrong, the general manager, you've seen enough. Does it seem hasty to you or not?
Well, when I first saw it, yes. And actually, I saw it. I didn't see it on my phone or on social. I'm watching SportsCenter, and they were going through the highlights, and it was literally, and after the game, Craig Berube got fired. And that was it. They moved on. And to me, it felt like, yeah, it was hasty because I'm with you. It feels like it was a season or 2 that he became the full-time head coach. And those 6 years just fly by. And to be honest, 6 years, that's a pretty good run for a head coach. And eventually you decide that it's not working out. But for us who aren't in that market, and St. Louis isn't a team grabbing national headlines on a daily basis, so we're not talking about them, they kind of quietly went about their business. And it's not working out, so they're making a move. Yeah.
Pardon me while I make some notes here, but hey, I'm going to stop for a second because I said that we would talk some football. I should not have looked at my phone because a sponsor from our other show, the Cats and Bolts podcast, has texted me, Scott from the Diamond Lab, proudly offering luxury lab-grown diamonds at 364A Palmetto Park Boulevard, downtown Boca Raton. Yeah, buddy. I read an article, because I'm falling in love with Tommy DeVito. Like all of New York, the quarterback of the Giants. And so I was reading this article on his agent, Sean Stellato, who a football guy this morning, I screenshotted the text and sent it to you. He's like, do you want DeVito's agent on your show? I got his number. I'm like, yeah. Sean Stellato, the guy from Monday Night Football, the fedora that I made fun of yesterday. My friend's like, yeah, I got his number. Let's get him on your show. So anyways, looks like that's going to hopefully happen. He's probably the busiest guy in America right now. The agent for Tommy DeVito, the hottest young thing in the NFL. See if he's got some time for this little show. But I was reading this story, and I want to know your thoughts, man. This could help you, and it's definitely helped me. Tom DeVito, that's Tommy's dad, was interviewed in the New York Post, and he said that Tommy does not read text messages from anybody 24 hours prior to a game. Number one, I'm not even sure I could do that. I don't know that I could. But think about this for a second. He doesn't respond to any texts. I don't think he would read them 24 hours before a game. And I'm like, just try putting your phone away a little bit for like 3-4 hours before the show. And imagine what that would do for your focus. And I'm not waving my finger at anybody because I'm as bad as anybody. I'm worse than everybody. Tommy DeVito does not respond to any text messages an hour before a game. And look at him. He's the hottest thing. Big upset on Monday Night Football. I didn't even know it was possible. And think about this. For 1 second, for all these young kids that attention spans are fried, if the teacher said, leave your phones at the door of the classroom, you'd get a human rights lawsuit. How dare you say that we can't bring our phones into the locker room or the dressing room? But it's for your own good. I don't care. That's an infringement of my human rights. It should be my decision. That's kind of what the world is right now. So my guess is Tommy came up with that on his own. I am in love with Tommy DeVito. What do you think?
I think it's pretty awesome. And well, you know what? It is a good thing. Shut your phone off. Don't feel a need to, get back to every notification in the instant seconds. And just live in the world, look around a little bit. But imagine, morning of the game, text, hey, Tommy, just want to let you know, bus is leaving at 10, not 10:30, and we're leaving from this corner, not that corner. Tommy's sitting out there by himself. Where is everybody? But no, clearly it's working. The distractions are gone. He is where he needs to be and gets where he needs to go, and people understand, and he's not worried about who needs tickets in the last second and who needs this and all these outside distractions that no doubt get in the way. That's kind of cool.
Well, let's just remember that until 2000, that's what we used to do, everybody. We didn't change the bus time. Just so you know. We said it was leaving at 10:30. It's leaving at 10:30. We didn't have to worry about tax. Maybe don't change it, and we'd all be fine. By the way, and here's me breaking my own rule again. Well, hey, what a novel idea. And they have a plan. But that sponsor's texting me, wants to know who's going to be on the show this week. He's deciding if he wants to come down and watch the show live. And I'm like, because now we've spoiled everybody. We've had Dale Talon and Bill Lindsay and Jeff Chikrin and Ed Jovanovski, and as you know, Peter Worrell's on our hit list. And now they want to know, I'm only coming if it's somebody I want to see. I got to take a break before I explode. We got a lot to get to. We'll be right back. We're live on the Game Plus Television Network, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Hey, it's Darren DuPont. Welcome to another edition of the SJHL Report. Plenty of trades going down. Melville, Melfort, the Battlefords, and Estevan. All the latest news on those trades now at SJHL.ca. Let's look at what happened over the weekend. Another big weekend for Flin Flon as they dispatched Weyburn on Friday. On Saturday, the Clippers on a little bit of a skid. Humboldt kept winning as well. Games to watch. Here's first the standings. Yes, Flin Flon still out in front. There's the Broncos, and the Battlefords tied with 41 points for third overall. This weekend, Melfort is at Melville. Two teams on Tuesday. They traded with each other, so that'll be interesting. Weyburn's at Humboldt on Friday, and Kindersley at the Battlefords on the weekend on Saturday as that rivalry renews. That's the SJHL report for this week. I'm Darren DuPont.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Welcome back to the RP Show, everybody. Thanks for joining us and making us part of your day. As the pilots say, we know you have a choice out there, so thanks for choosing us. Although there's not much doing what we do. Every single day, it's episode number 1141 of your favorite daytime sports talk show. And away we go. I'm here in rainy South Florida, where life is amazing. Darren is in Toronto, where life is amazing. And I hope it's amazing for everybody, wherever they're tuned in from live or via podcast, if that's cool. 902-518-3033 is the Sober Carpenter text line. Again, ask for it by name at your favorite beer, wine, and spirits store. And, yeah, hang on, Moose. I have not dared even step into the comments. Yeah, I can't. Let's just stay on track here. It's not audience takeover time. You see the Bet Regal ticker going at the bottom of the screen. Sign up today for free at betregal.ca. I'm a mess. Headphones dropping everywhere. Before I move on, do you have any thoughts on that opening segment before I completely swing it around in another thing?
Well, we didn't dive in to the poll question. You brought it up. Put it out there on who Canada's best team in the NHL is. But I think it's Vancouver. So I just want to put that out there. That's who got my vote, Vancouver. I think out of the group, I think Edmonton might be playing the best. Toronto might have the best roster of talent. But I think Vancouver's the best team in Canada right now. Winnipeg is there. They're playing really well. Very close. But I think Vancouver's the most consistently good of the group so far this year.
I like it. And that's the one thing. Hey, I've changed my mind over the last couple of weeks, and I have a choice. Just to sit back and be bored until the playoffs or enjoy the journey. And if you're envisioning a long drive, enjoy the journey. Enjoy the scenery. Enjoy the stops along the way.
Yeah.
Troy in Toronto writes in and he says, having a bromance is just fine, Rod. Thank you. Yeah, it's exciting. But like I say, it's not like the NFL needed any feel-good stories. My God, I hope other leagues are paying attention to what the NFL is doing in every regard. They don't need storylines. This is just a great storyline that happened. I mean, who really knew? I'm one of those guys that went back and Googled Tommy DeVito and saw that he played at Syracuse and Illinois, transferred out of one to go to the other, undrafted from Livingston, New Jersey, wherever the hell that is. Well, it's 12 minutes away from the Giants practice facility. I didn't know. I'm not a football scout. Lives with his parents, eats his mom's chicken cutlets. That's how he got the nickname Tommy Cutlets. He's got the New York accent. He's Italian. It's a great New York story. And I'm not a New York guy at all. I'm a Florida guy. We got great stories down here too, but I just think it's just a great New York thing. Mark, the beekeeper, writes in and says, hey, Rod, I'm in Melfort, and life here is amazing. That's where they do the Melfort Shuffle. You and I were there broadcasting the league final, as you know, in the SJ. Just before we had some time to kill before the game, so we hung out by the pool. Remember that? That was fantastic.
Those photos, Rod. Oh, I should send it to Clark. They just literally popped up this week on my memories. You know, Google Photos shares memories with me, and that was one. You and I relaxed in those little beach loungers there with our coffee cups by the pool, the wave pool there in Melfort. Those were great times.
Randy, oh, hang on. My bad. I'm sorry. Well, Troy in Toronto says, do the Blues even have a decent team to work with? Could be the players he's been given? Well, you said about Craig Berube being fired. And I see there's a story that moved across the wire just this morning that I'm dying to read. And it's about what happens between a team and a coach after they fire the coach, because it's out of control. Out of control right now in sports. I think we can all agree. I mean, I got a lot of friends in sports that they're happy with their job. They're just trying to fade into the woodwork and not stick out and just keep their job forever because it's too volatile. And what it's not, then these are coaches that I'm talking about, but it doesn't matter what you do. You sell tickets in the box office, broadcaster, work in the marketing department. They're always looking for somebody to fire if things aren't going well. And it sounds like Troy in Toronto thinks that it was a little hasty for the Blues too. But again, we don't watch the Blues. I haven't watched them play one game all year. I don't think I've watched 2 minutes of a game. Mark in Melfort wants to see the photos by the pool, by the way. So just don't do it now. Don't go through your phone. I don't want to lose your attention. But maybe an hour or two, we can throw those photos up. But I've been thinking about, it's a very interesting thing with what Troy in Toronto says and Craig Berube being fired, because the Oilers have won 8 in a row. I said to Serena this morning, I said, your Oilers have won 8 in a row, and guess what? You're not even in a playoff spot. You know what her response was? Yet. And what really burnt my grits was I got up this morning and I had to watch the Bedard goal. The game didn't start till 10 o'clock last night, and no, I was not staying up to watch that game. Bedard, which incidentally, my next point of our points, Darren, is what's the future for the Chicago Blackhawks and Bedard, and we'll get to that. But anyways, it was like 25 after 6 a.m. today. And I'm waiting for the highlights to come up on the NHL network. And she's like, are you going to have to wait over half an hour? Because they would have led off the NHL network with the other highlights. And I'm like, that's so arrogant of you. And the worst part was, she was right. They did lead off with that. The two Connors, the game of it, I couldn't even complain about and say she was wrong because she was right. So I guess that's the dovetail. And just to remind everybody, we're live on Game Plus Television, WQE Radio, podcast, Spotify, and YouTube Live. We are Atlanta's NHL show. I want to remind everybody. Shout out Ryan O'Radio. We haven't forgot about you. But just with Bedard, I woke up to a text message from our good friend Jared Dumba, who's doing some work with us now on the sales side. He's like, did you stay awake to see the Bedard goal? And I'm like, no, I didn't. But it didn't take long for me to find it. And for those, I'm sure all of Canada watching right now saw Bedard's goal in Edmonton last night. Literally was hiding in behind the defense is what I saw. Received the pass, snuck in alone, and sniped past Stuart Skinner. Only goal for Chicago. Connor Bedard must be having PTSD, Darren. Literal, here we go again. He would never say it. He didn't say it in Regina, that he was playing between two fire hydrants. But that's what's happening in Chicago, too. If Connor Bedard doesn't score, nobody scores. They lost 4-1. He scored the only goal. Literally, this is a recording.
I know it is. But what do you do? Like, what a goal. And in that moment, we said he would rise to the occasion, and he did. 3.5 minutes into the game, just flips. And the defenseman was right on him. Like, he was in a phone booth and just bang, right inside the post upstairs, beat Skinner with a laser of a shot. And it's just like, this kid just dropped the puck and then dropped the mic right away, 3.5 minutes in. Like, it's unbelievable what he does. And yeah, they didn't do anything the rest of the game, and Edmonton ended up cruising to a win. But Connor did what he needed to do, Bedard, and to get on the stage and on the highlights, and he is just fun to watch. But yeah, it's a lot of PTSD from what he dealt with in junior. They're going to have to find a way to surround him with some players.
Told you, everybody, that there's going to be a lot of hockey today. Big hockey day. I told you all, and I hope you're enjoying it. I got a lot of friends in Alberta that have been writing me going, I sure love the hockey shows. I'm like, so do I. Thank you. And this is a total other topic, and this is going to take us 2 full hours to get through everything here. But I will say one thing. My gang of friends that I went to Pat's games with, we would sit up in the suites and eat Twizzlers together, and we had the best old time. But we don't do that anymore because I don't live there anymore. And guess who those guys were last night? I could send you the photos. They were in Edmonton in a suite eating Twizzlers wearing Blackhawks jerseys because they went up to see Connor Bedard. And they're not Pat's season ticket holders anymore. It's just things change and times change and people move on. But Serena said one time, she goes, I would rather go to one Oilers game than spend my money on season tickets for a junior team. And by the way, she loves junior hockey. On her keychain is a Pat's keychain from 20 years ago. She loves junior hockey. For me, I would rather go to the 36 nights of junior hockey. But that really got me thinking that not everybody thinks that way. For one night versus 36, to me, it's not even a question, but it'd be a boring world if we all looked at things the same way.
I agree. I'd rather go to different games and different leagues and spread your time around a little bit than just go to one NHL game. But I'm a, as you know, it's and not or. I'd rather do both, right? And my time allows me to go to different games and different leagues, so I'll try and do both. But if I had to choose, I would take the junior games over one NHL game.
Yeah, and that's me. I mean, I had a lot of friends here this past week, like 60 of them in South Florida, and they asked if I was going to the Dolphins game, and I'm like, I go to one a year, which is a whole other thing. You go to a Panthers game, they're giving you bobbleheads, they're giving you flags, they're giving you toques for $50. Florida Panthers, not joking. Dolphins, I paid 50% off $500 in a suite, and what that got me was all the Diet Coke I could drink and pretzels. That's it. And it's like, you better be damn lucky that you're here. You better feel lucky that you're here. That's just the difference between the NFL and NHL in this market. Some's got to work real hard to get you in the building and with cheap tickets, and others don't got to work that hard at all. That's a topic. That's a TED topic. TED Talk for another day. But Wayne in Victoria says, Connor Bedard needs some help in Chicago. I know every first-round #1 picks go to bad teams, but he still needs help. Troy in Toronto says, it's so entertaining watching Bedard. He is far surpassing what I thought he could do in the NHL with the talent he has to play with. Thank you, Troy, and that's the thing. It's in my commentary today. They signed Corey Perry and Taylor Hall to help him out. Where the hell are they? Sorry. And Dale Talon on our Cats and Bolts podcast last week, the former GM of the Blackhawks and the Panthers. That's why we have the hockey analysts on, folks. Dale pointed out, those guys are gone. He's the only talent on the team, like the only talent. So now other teams are focusing on him more, and he's still scoring at 18. And by the way, he hasn't missed a game, which is another Bedard trait. He doesn't miss games. He doesn't get hurt. So we only got a minute here. We'll have to push this to next hour. But they're all saying they got to get him help. Even here in Florida, because people now know that I'm the hockey guy, they're like, poor Bedard. And what are they going to do? They got to get rid of him. They got to get him out of there. I'm like, would you say that if you had a prize Dolphin player? We got to get Tua out of here, man. He's struggling. No, you want to surround him with players. And somebody wrote me, that Leaf fan that I was talking to, he goes, players will want to come there to play with Bedard. So he got nothing to worry about. Do you agree?
I agree. It's going to take a little time, but slowly more players will want to come play with him. They'll see what he's doing. And I think it could be an attractive place for free agents. I really do. And I think they'll be fine long term.
Darren, I didn't even get through half my topics. So we'll see you in hour 2. We'll continue the chat.
You bet. See you then.
ESPN Cincinnati's Mo Egger, our good friend, joins us next. We are big in Ohio on the Buckeye cable system, which I know is pumped into Mo's house on Game Plus television. We're also on the radio in Atlanta, where we are Atlanta's NHL show, WQEE. You can also find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the city of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new Halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at IKSGameDay.com.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, Always delivering the best fan experience.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Pausing the hockey talk on this Wednesday to talk a little NFL. Jake Browning threw 2 touchdown passes and ran for a score in his second straight outstanding performance for the Cincinnati Bengals, who pounded the Indianapolis Colts 34-14 Sunday in Week 14. I don't know if Mo Egger's tired of talking about it or not. He joins us from ESPN Cincinnati Radio. Hey, Mo, good to see you. What's on your mind? Something, I can tell.
Well, I thought you were bringing me in to talk hockey. I guess there was miscommunication. I thought I was being brought in to talk hockey.
What's the team
so we'll talk Jake Browning instead. The Cincinnati Cyclones, one of the ECHL's great success stories. Yeah, we won the Kelly Cup in 2008 and 2010. Absolutely.
How about that?
I love it. He dropped a "we," everybody. He dropped a "we." You refer to the Bengals as "we," by the way, do you?
No, I don't, but I'm not going to say, I don't as a rule, but I'm not going to say that I haven't. How's that?
Okay, that's cool. Do you carry the Cyclones games on your radio, on your fine radio station?
We don't. We don't. We used to back in the day. Back in the day, we had 2 minor league hockey teams. Cincinnati's hockey tradition, actually, I was thinking of Barry Melrose played for the Cincinnati Stingers back in the 70s.
How about that?
We go back to the early. Yeah, we had the Mohawks, we had the Stingers, but in the mid 2000s, we had 2 teams. We had the Cincinnati Mighty Ducks, obviously an Anaheim Mighty Ducks affiliate, and now we have the Cyclones. The Cyclones in the 90s, when they were an IHL team, were some of the most fun games to go to. Quite frankly, now they play in a building that's a little bit too big for an ECHL team, but Cincinnati's hockey history is not insignificant.
Well, listen, bro, I brought you on just because we like talking to you. So I'm going to the to the big board right now. No, I'm serious. Mm-hmm. I'm going to the big board right now because I think my guy Dennis Sobchuk, some will believe, is the greatest Regina Pat ever. That's a hockey team.
Okay.
Was the
Regina
first $1 million player. Yeah, Cincinnati. Yeah, Cincinnati Stingers in 1976 signed a $1 million contract with the Cincinnati Stingers. Look it up. He was hockey's first $1 million player, Dennis Sobchuk, from Lang, Saskatchewan, 7 miles from my hometown.
How about that?
Anyways, yeah, just go look that up in your town.
All right.
So
Mark Messier played for the Stingers.
Browning.
Mike Gardner played for the Stingers. Yeah, okay, let's talk about Jake Browning.
I get it. I keep getting him mistaken with Kurt Browning, an infamous figure skater of Olympic fame from Canada. But this Jake Browning is not that. Did you see this coming?
No. Now, you could have convinced me that Jake Browning was going to be good enough for the Bengals offense to function well enough for them to be competitive and win football games. I think anybody who said they saw him and the Bengals scoring 68 points in consecutive weeks in games that they had to win, they're lying to you. He has been terrific, and not only has he been terrific, but I think the coaching staff has been terrific. And look, Jake made his first start against the Pittsburgh Steelers, and he was fine. He wasn't great. He threw a big pick in that game, but I think relative to what you expected, he was fine. I think what was really in the crosshairs after that game was, well, they didn't run the ball that effectively. They didn't run the ball all that much, and the coaching staff didn't do Jake Browning any favors. The last two games, I think they've done a great job of giving him a chance to succeed. They have used the running game. Now, okay, every team wants to run the ball, but they've run it differently. They've used Chase Brown, a guy they drafted from Illinois last year, who didn't carry the ball at all against Pittsburgh. He's been featured the last two games, took a 54-yard screen pass to the house in the game against the Indianapolis Colts. We've seen more variety to their running game. They also, I think, against Jacksonville, if you watched that game last Monday, you saw a coaching staff that said to Jake, all right, we're going to throw some short passes, get you comfortable, and then over the final three quarters, we're going to let you unleash the football and throw it wherever you want and throw deep and make plays, and he did that. What they have done has been, I think, nothing short of miraculous. If you watched Jake's first start when it felt like, God, this offense, it's going to operate in a phone booth and nobody's doing him any favors. After the Pittsburgh game, which was Jake's first start, everybody counted them out, and now here we are 2 games later. They're 7-6. Jake is playing well, and the slate in front of them involves 4 teams that either have backup quarterbacks, bad quarterbacks, or in the case of Patrick Mahomes, crybaby quarterbacks.
How about that?
Okay. Yeah. Well, you're an AFC guy, so clearly you don't like Mahomes, period. But, I mean, we had a lot of talk on this show. Probably yours did, too, over the call. I mean, I've been in football a long time. A lot of times there's a buffer window. Now, that's Canadian football where you get a yard off the ball. In the States, you don't. But clearly you think the right call was made and the Chiefs were just crying about it.
Yes. Yeah, the right call was made. The Kadarius Toney lined up off sides. There's no subjectivity to this. This isn't roughing the passer or pass interference or even holding where you could, God, is that really pass interference? You either line up offside or you don't. Kadarius Toney did. And the argument that, you don't make that call at that stage in the game, that's not the job of an officiating crew. You hear this all the time in sports. The job of an official is to apply the correct rules, make the correct rulings, independent of who's playing or where in the game we are. The correct call was made. And look, I get Patrick Mahomes, who I don't dislike, but I get Patrick Mahomes in the immediate aftermath. Right after it happened, it's an emotional game. He's frustrated. He's upset. They've had some calls go against them that he had a legitimate beef about. I understand it there. But first of all, to be complaining to Josh Allen, what does he want Josh Allen to do? Okay, bro, you're right. What does he want him to do? And then for him to sound off after the game and sound like this bratty, aggrieved little toddler, I know he's walked back some stuff and he gets credit for that. But I thought that was a bad look for a guy who is one of the faces of this league.
Well, Andy Reid said the NFL should be embarrassed by that call. Last I heard, I don't think he's been disciplined, i.e. fined for that. No. Will he, or does he get a pass because he's Andy Reid?
I don't know, and I don't care. I mean, whatever. Is the fine going to impact? I don't believe Andy Reid or anybody else should be suspended. I think that would be insane. I sort of feel like it's dumb to fine coaches and players. If you're going to require them to speak, then you should expect them and want them to speak truthfully. And so Andy Reid, I disagreed with his perspective, but I've always felt like players and coaches, as long as they're not making it personal and questioning a call or talking about how bad the officiating is, to me, that's not making it personal. If you're going to ask people to speak, if you're going to require people to make themselves available, then you should want them to be transparent and honest and truthful. And if they are, you shouldn't punish them for that. So I'm opposed to Andy Reid, what he said. I'm certainly against what Patrick Mahomes said. I don't really believe philosophically that coaches and players should be fined when they criticize officiating.
Well, I don't, but they still do get fined. So,
yes.
I mean, I broadcast games for 30 years, man. There was nobody ripping refs more than me. Vikings at Bengals. Looks like the Bengals got to prepare for another new quarterback who I have no idea who it is. What's your preview for this Week 15 game?
Well, it's Nick Mullins. Minnesota using their fourth quarterback of the season. The shine is worn off Josh Dobbs. I think this game is going to be decided by Minnesota's defense. Are they going to be good enough to allow them to overcome now their deficiencies on offense? It certainly helps Nick Mullins that Justin Jefferson is going to play. I think to a degree, this is one of those games that when the season started, you said, okay, it's Justin Jefferson, it's Jamar Chase in the same game with Kirk Cousins and Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow is better than Kirk Cousins, but here are going to be two of the preeminent wide receivers in the sport who went to the same school with their starting quarterbacks throwing to them. That's going to be a lot of fun. And now you certainly don't feel like either player is an afterthought, but this sort of feels to me like a game that's going to be decided by other factors. Can Cincinnati continue to gouge teams on the ground with the screen game? Can they continue to be productive running the football? And can the Bengals defensively impose their will against a substandard offense? The Bengals defense this year, we talk all the time about how philosophically they bend, but they don't break. Sometimes they've bent too much. The Minnesota Vikings scored 3 points last week. This is a defense that at home should be able to hold down Minnesota enough to allow Jake Browning to get to 17 to 20 to 21 points. And if that happens, I think the Bengals win, and then we are really talking about their playoff chances, which 3 weeks ago we completely counted them out.
No kidding. Well, I'll tell you what, Mo, I did not have Mike Gartner nor Mark Messier on my bingo card of people to chat with you today. So thank you for that. I like the unpredictability. Sure. And happy holidays, Merry Christmas. Thanks for the time, bro.
I might come down there and visit you. It's 31 degrees outside right now. I'll just come down, spend New Year's. We'll hang out. We'll hit the town.
Hot. I'll be here. Mo, waiting for you. Appreciate it.
Sounds good.
Mo
All right, Rod, thanks for having me.
from ESPN Cincinnati joining us talking what league? WHA and NFL. We got a sports update coming up next, an audience takeover. Jason Greger from Sports 1440 Edmonton in hour 2. We are live on Game Plus Television, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
All right, we're going to jump into a sports update, get to as many viewer comments as we can, and then let you go and get ready for hour two. We're going to start with curling. How about that? Brendan Bottcher scored 3 deuces in a 7-3 victory over Aaron Sluchinski Tuesday night at the Grand Slam of Curling's WFG Masters. In other late games at Merlis Belcher Place in Saskatoon, Brad Gushue beat Saskatoon's Mike McEwen 9-5. Switzerland's Yannick Schwaller defeated American Corey Dropkins 6-3. Scotland's Ross White topped Norway's Magnus Ramsfeld 8-5. Action continues through Friday night at Merlis Belcher Place. From the Dub, place line, Prince Albert. Sloan Stanek scored a goal and added a helper as the Prince Albert Raiders down the Kamloops Blazers 3-1 in WHL play Tuesday. In Moose Jaw, Andrew Crystal knocked in the game-winning goal at 11:52 of the third period, and the Rockets edged the Moose Jaw Warriors 2-1. Isn't Andrew Crystal been playing for the Rockets for like 10 years? The sports update's brought to you by Common Crown Brewing Company, turning your everyday common beer into a unique and exceptional experience. Visit commoncrown.ca. And for Landmark Cinemas, in Landmark Cinemas now, Silent Night from legendary director John Woo and the producer of John Wick comes this gritty revenge tale of a tormented father who witnesses his young son die when caught in a gang's crossfire on Christmas Eve. Silent Night redefines the action genre with visceral, thrill-a-minute storytelling. And there's not a spoken word in it the whole movie. I was there on the weekend, just so you know. Imagine a movie where they don't say a word. And it's a shoot-'em-up, gang-style L.A. film. Yeah, just go check it out. Tell me what you think after. Last minute of play in hour one. Sober Carpenter text line is open. Not quite okay. 902-518-3033. See a lot of people checking in for the first time today. The breaking news of today is Craig Berube fired as head coach of the St. Louis Blues. It actually came down last night, I guess, hours after the Blues' 6-4 loss to Detroit. Northside YEG writes in. He's got a take on the Oilers. Where did it go? Well, Glenn Baumbach says Paul Coffey has put his mark on the D. Yeah, well, I would say so. I said the same thing shortly after he was hired, that he would be a great addition, and I was mocked soundly for it. I got the receipts. Right, Clark? It's on our Facebook page. Everybody mocking me for saying Paul Coffey was going to be a great hire by the Oilers. Now they've won 8 in a row. Coffey getting the credit. What's the intro? What was the intro? People realizing after a long time that I'm right, and they never come back and say, sorry, Rod, you were right. But we know it. Hour two coming up after this brief pause on Game Plus and Key Radio.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the city of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new Halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at iksgameday.com.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
It's very clear to me. What I say last hour, Darren, I see things before everybody else, and everybody calls me crazy, and then what I say comes to fruition, and nobody comes back and apologizes and goes, yeah, you were right.
How about that?
Like, I mean, nobody. But I'm used to it. I don't get upset about it anymore.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
It sounds so bloody arrogant to say when I hear it back in my ears, but it's so true. So is that arrogance? I don't know. Welcome to Hour 2, and I'll tell you, if you're just tuning in, you're joining us at a great time. It is episode number 1141 of your favorite daytime sports talk show. Let's bring in Darren Moose DuPont. Hey, Moose, what's up, man? You're nodding your head like a bobblehead. You got something for me? What do you got? What do you got here as we...
No. Just good to be back in here for Hour 2, and I'll have those photos for next segment. I picked them out here. I just got to put them in the chat next break.
Okay, well, for whatever reason, it came up in Darren's memories. Was that in your iPhone? You're now an Apple guy, right? Was your Apple, or was it Facebook memories, or what the hell was it?
Yeah, it was on my phone. I got a notification. They curate memories of old photos. So I don't know why it came up this week or last week, and then all of a sudden you brought it up today. It's, yeah, interesting.
There are no coincidences, everybody, and holy smokes, what a wonderful segue. We're talking about Darren and I broadcasting the league final of the local Junior A Loop hockey. whatever year it was, 2019, and there was a game in Melfort we were doing, and we had a lot of time to kill before the game, so we went and hung out by the pool, because in Melfort, in the beautiful facility, the Northern Lights Palace, you could still eat off the floor. It's been open for 30 years. It's as impeccably clean as the day it opened, and there's a beautiful pool, I think a wave pool, maybe not a wave in the bottom of it, but a pool for sure, right beside the rink, and Darren and I hung out there, and he's got photos of it that some viewers wanted us to share. But in terms of there are no coincidences. And again, welcome everybody to hour 2 of your favorite daytime sports talk show. To catch you all up on what we talked about last hour was last night's NHL leftovers. And I think, Darren, we did a pretty good job of it. The Leafs spanked the Rangers 7-3 in a game that really was, in my opinion, far closer than what the score indicated. Senators lost to Carolina. Flames lost in Vegas. Jets lost in San Jose. Not good for those teams. But the Edmonton Oilers beat Chicago 4-1. Connor Bedard, the lone goal for the Blackhawks. We talked about the future for Chicago and Connor. And then in Vancouver, who's the best? Vancouver beat the Tampa Bay Lightning 4-1, and we talked about who's the best team in the NHL, which incidentally, before I get into story time, which I think you're going to enjoy, we should tell you the poll question today is that, and it's brought to you by Key Auto Group. At Key Auto Group, they're driven by safety. Experience peace of mind with our comprehensive multi-point inspections. Visit keyautogroup.ca for automotive excellence. And the poll question is, who is the best Canadian NHL team right now? And it was Clark's idea for the question, and I'm just calling it up on Twitter to see what they're saying. Your options are the Toronto Maple Leafs, the Winnipeg Jets, the Edmonton Oilers, and the Vancouver Canucks. Darren voted for Vancouver. I don't think I said, but I'm going to say Winnipeg. I'm going to say Winnipeg. Whoa. And I mean it. Not just because we're very big in Winnipeg. For a few reasons. But Edmonton's leading, just so you know, with 29% of the vote. Toronto's next with 26% of the vote. Winnipeg's next with 23% of the vote. And Vancouver has got 22% of the vote. So basically, our viewers and all of Canada is split on who's the best team in Canada right now, which I'll remind you, it's December 13th, so it doesn't really matter. But that's the thing. And so for me, the Jets have made their changes. They've got rid of the cancers. They've made the coaching change. They got the best goalie out of anybody in Canada. They've got everything they need. It's Winnipeg for me, dog. Darren said Vancouver because I think he just doesn't want to jinx his Leafs, and that's fine. And me, living with an Oilers fan, I'm getting tired of the Oilers fast. And they've won 8 in a row, and now they're the greatest thing ever. And that's just an Edmonton Oiler fan thing. It is what it is. Now, speaking of all that, my friend Vaughn in Airdrie, he's that friend that I reconnected with after 20-some years, maybe even longer, not even seeing each other, let alone staying in touch. We got together this summer, and we talk now almost every day, and it's awesome. And he loved our top kick the other day about check the receipts, because it's a different time now. He's been texting me, check the receipts. When Paul Coffey was hired, I said, this is the best hiring of them all in Edmonton. And then they proceeded to lose 6 in a row. And everybody's just ripping the hell out of me. Right? And I'm like, I was going to delete the Facebook post that I put up, a photo of me and Coffey with the one of the multiple events that we did together. But I'm like, nah, leave it up. Because this story ain't over yet. And it's not. And now they've won 8 in a row. And Coffey's a big reason. And Chris Knobloch's a big reason. Check the receipts. I had him. But I just want to say something about Paul Coffey. I don't know if you ever heard this. I've done multiple events with him. Here's the main one, and then I have a secondary story. Because people love the stories. That's why they come here. They don't come here just to hear about us talk about the games, because that gets nauseating and boring. So we were doing a dinner in Milestone, Saskatchewan. I think it was the last one that I did there. My hometown. It was me, Russ Howard, and Paul Coffey. And my mom and dad were both there. And Paul Coffey's flight was delayed. He was supposed to land at 10 in the morning, coming from Toronto. 3.5-hour flight. Trust me, I know. I've done it many times. Toronto, as you're looking at it, everybody, to Regina, Saskatchewan, Canada, and then drive 30 miles south. And you'll find Milestone, the geographical center of North America. But no, the flight was delayed and delayed and delayed and delayed and delayed and delayed until the point that I'm like, Paul Coffey's not coming. I'll just go up there and do my rider presentation that I always do. It goes over. Russ Howard will talk curling, and Bob's your uncle. And everybody will go home happy. But no, Paul Coffey's plane landed. It was supposed to land at 10 in the morning. It landed at like 9:07 p.m. So he grabbed his bags, if he even had any, and he ripped out. They had a car waiting for him, and he walked through the doors of the Milestone Memorial Arena, which I helped build in 1990-91, through the doors, and he took the stage at 10 p.m., and everybody was very respectful. And it's Paul Coffey. It's a big Oilers community. And that isn't even the part of the story that I wanted to tell. Coffey is a very engaging speaker. He grabbed the edges of the podium, and he goes, everybody, why do we play hockey? And somebody yells from the back, for fun. And he goes, no, if you want to have fun, buy an RV. Go to Mexico. We play hockey to win. And you got to work. It's work to win. And when you win, that's when it's fun. That's when you can do whatever you want. But it takes work to win. You don't play hockey for fun. And he goes, Vince Lombardi was famously known. He was the guy that said winning isn't the everything. It's the only thing. And Coffey went on to say that apparently Lombardi walked that back. On his deathbed, he's like, I didn't mean it was taken the wrong way. People think that winning, it's taken over their lives. Whatever it was, Coff's like, he goes, I wish he wouldn't have taken it back, because he's right. You want to have fun, buy an RV. Play hockey to win from a guy that's won all those Stanley Cups. Now, the fun part that I find is ironic when you talk about universe, or as Serena says, woo-woo stuff. I was doing another event with Paul Coffey and Chris Jones. It was the Kinsman dinner, and we're in the buffet line. I'm pretty sure you've heard this. But Paul Coffey's doing his thing, filling up his plate in the buffet line. Right behind him's Chris Jones, the current coach and general manager of the Edmonton Elks. And then there's me. Now, it's Regina, Saskatchewan, everybody, where the local football teams, the Dallas Cowboys, of the CFL. So nobody gave a rat's ass about Paul Coffey. I mean, nobody cared, because Chris Jones was right behind him. You get it right, Darren? You can see how that would be a thing, right? Nobody cared about Paul Coffey. Yeah. So people were just pawing at Chris Jones, just pawing at him. He's trying to put his roast beef on. He's trying to scoop his mashed potatoes. He's trying to get his peas and carrots, because this is a typical Saskatchewan meal. And they just can't. They want photos. They want to shake his hand. He hadn't coached a game yet, which tells me this would have been 2016. And he's like smiling. And, oh, yeah, we're going to be good. We're going to be a good one. Yeah, we're going to be chopping wood. On and on and on and on. Finally, somebody came and filled his plate for him. And Coffey turned around and goes, you're going to get tired of that crap real fast. And Jones is like, no, just like home. Nope, just like home. And Darren, I don't think he was around long enough to get tired of it. He was gone after the 2018 season. But that's just Saskatchewan and the way they love the Rough Riders. But that's also Paul Coffey. People don't understand. An NHL superstar can come into the town and nobody cares. But if Jason Claremont's walking the street, people will part ways and throw rose petals at his feet. It's just unreal how much they love the Canadian Football League there. So anyways, it just turned 111. I'm going to throw that out there. 111.
Hot damn.
Imagine a positive outcome to whatever quagmire you're in, everybody, and see if it works. What do you got to lose? Worked for me. I'm just going to point this out, Darren. There's 4 games in the NHL tonight. The Pittsburgh Penguins are at Montreal. That just, to me, seems like a hallowed meeting. Even though, I got to tell you, there was a headline, I guess, in Pittsburgh that said, Dubas brings soft hockey to Pittsburgh. I want your thought on that.
Oh, no.
Boston at New Jersey, Anaheim at the Islanders, Buffalo at Colorado, and Winnipeg at L.A. And I have a secondary question that we'll get to. I want to get some audience participation here. I said we were going to do it here this hour, not last hour. It's for more so our Cats and Bolts podcast we're taping this afternoon, Serena and my show that we do on the Florida Panthers and Tampa Bay Lightning. I'm asking people, what's the one arena that you're dying to see in the NHL? What's the one arena you're dying to see in the NHL? And can you please, audience, keep it on point? I'm asking for the National Hockey League, because people drift off for NFL stadiums and college stadiums and tennis courts. I mean, no. What NHL arena are you dying to see that you haven't yet? So that's the one question. But before we get to all of that, people write in, tell me. And not only will we say it here, but I also want to say it on that show. Dubas brings soft hockey to Pittsburgh. They were alluding to this headline on NHL radio this morning. I was listening to it with Gord Stellick. Are you following what's going on in Pittsburgh at all with Dubas in his first year there?
Well, it's been tough. The expectations were high, and they haven't lived up to it. They were joking last night a little bit that when Jake Gensel scored, they ended the power play drought, and they celebrated like they won the Stanley Cup. Finally, we score on the power play, and this team, with Letang and Malkin and Crosby and Carlson and, Gensel, they're supposed to be. Jeff Carter's filling the net like crazy in the power play, and they haven't been. But the soft hockey's interesting because that was a little bit of what Toronto was guilty of. Remember back to the Brian Burke days where truculence, we got to have truculence, right? And then Dubas came in with speed, and it was skilled players and, not a lot of grit, and it didn't really show up when it came to the playoffs. And now it seems like that's coming to Pittsburgh. And I don't know if it's fair assessment of Kyle Dubas, but you clearly can't really argue because the results haven't been there for the Penguins in his first year.
Yeah, well, again, it's like any general manager. Let's get real about it. What do you expect the GM to do overnight? For real. And by the way, he did acquire Erik Karlsson, who, he's something else, which we all know. That's not news to anybody. Erik Karlsson's unbelievable. But here's a funny little thing. I told you that I was dealing on my other side of life with Super Bowl and going to Las Vegas. And so this lady that I was on the phone with yesterday, American gal, and she says to me, so you're a hockey guy? And I said, some would say that. And she goes, well, my second cousin's kid is DOC. I'm like, I'm sorry, who's that? And she goes, Drew O'Connor of the Pittsburgh Penguins. Drew O'Connor, DOC. And I'm like, okay, not really familiar with him. This was on the phone. She might be watching right now because she's in Georgia, Rhino Radio. She's there. She said she was going to tune in today on WQEE. So I said, hey, Pittsburgh was just here last week, and if I'd known that your second cousin's kid is DOC, I'd have been paying a little more attention for him. I went back and looked at the stats, and his stat line, Sam Mitchell, was 0-0-1. 0.
Oh.
Yeah. But I'll say this. For the most part, and again, we all know this, but you're watching Pittsburgh, if you have the chance to watch them, and they're in Montreal tonight, they're the usual suspects. Tristan Jarry in goal plays a lot, almost every game, and he should. Usual suspects. Jake Gensel leads the team in scoring with 31 points, and then there's Sidney Crosby, who, by the way, still has it. I'd like to think he's going to be playing for a long time. Malkin, which, by the way, I rode up in the elevator with his wife and child. Son looks just like him. Poor kid. Erik Karlsson, and to be honest, a bunch of other guys. Boog. Bunch of other guys. Boog. You mentioned Jeff Carter, yeah. Gray. It's a bunch of guys, and I would put DOC in that group of you know what I mean? It's tough when you got a bunch of star players, a bunch of guys down here. But that's the Edmonton Oilers, and it seems to be working for them. We'll take a timeout, and when we come back, we'll take a look at tonight's NHL games and bring in more. Actually, we'll answer your questions. What's the NHL arena you're dying to see, everybody? We'll get Darren's. I'll give mine. You might be surprised to know. And on the way, Jason Greger from Sports 1440 Radio in Edmonton. We're live on Game Plus TV, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the city of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at IKSGameDay.com.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Okay, back at it, everybody. And yeah, hope you're enjoying yourself, because we sure are, talking sports. Remind you, coming up, we've got some interviews slated this afternoon for our World Juniors special coming up, obviously, right after Christmas. Craig Button going to be joining us from TSN, and the voice of the Moose Jaw Warriors, James Gallo, my favorite Italian in Moose Jaw. Let's bring in Moose now. I think James is the only Italian in Moose Jaw. I know a lot of Greeks. He's good. I don't know a lot of Italians in Moose Jaw, but I know one. James Gallo, and he will be with us. And by the way, we got some good stuff here. I apologize. Somebody wrote in and said, you got some top shelf stories there today. John Ohm. He has great story, Rod. Hot damn. And he's surprised that I picked Winnipeg as the best team in Canada in the NHL. You understand that doesn't mean anything, but whatever. People get all geeked up. Oh, it was Northside YEG in Edmonton who says some solid stories out of the Rod Show today. Well, I'll tell you one more. First time I ever met Paul Coffey was in a little town called Zenon Park, Saskatchewan. And I know I've told this, I'm going to tell it again because I love it so much. The MC, I wasn't even the MC. I was just one of the guest speakers. The MC read off my bio, 20 years Saskatchewan Roughriders, 20 years Regina Pats, 2-time best-selling author, you name it, the recovery career, la-di-da-di-da. So I came on stage, and then Paul Coffey comes out, and is it 4 Stanley Cups or is it more with Pittsburgh? Doesn't matter. It's a lot. Paul Coffey. And he looks at me, and he goes, we're sitting on 2 stools, and he goes, I should be interviewing you. And I look, I'm like, don't make fun of me. Because that's what I thought. And I told his agent after. His agent, I want to say his agent's name is Scott Salmond. Not the guy from Hockey Canada. Different guy. Unless it is the same guy. I don't know. But as the agent was Scott Salmond, and I was talking to him, and he goes, no. Koff is the kind of guy that appreciates a solid career, a great work ethic, somebody that's done something. And Paul was serious about that. He was very impressed by your resume and you. And I'm like, I never hear that.
How about
and then
that?
the agent goes, he goes, would you be interested in traveling around Ontario and doing sports banquets with Koff? And I'm like, yes, let me check my calendar. Yeah, I think I'm available. Never heard from him again.
Sign me up.
So interesting, very, very interesting to the question that we had earlier about what NHL arena are you dying to see? If we had a poll, Vegas would win in a long shot. You know what the most popular of all the answers are that have come in from everybody? Montreal and Vegas and a lot of Seattle. But before we delve into all that, what are you voting for the NHL arena you're dying to see?
Madison Square Garden. Haven't seen it. I've never been there.
That?
Would be cool. Basketball or hockey. It doesn't really matter to me what I watch. I mean, hockey would be preferred, but I'd like to go to MSG for a game. Absolutely.
Well, I wouldn't turn any of them down. John Ohm, his list, Vegas, Seattle, Nashville. He says, my top 3 arenas. I'm laughing because, listen, okay, y'all wonder what's going on up here. And trust me, you're not alone wondering that. I'm laughing when I think about the Seattle arena, the Key Arena. Because, obviously, for those that know my history and all that time in the Western Hockey League, I was in the old Key Arena before it was what it is now. And I see photos. Somebody's got to tell me if anybody's in it. We're carried in the state of Washington on TDS cable. If there's anybody watching out there, it looks to me like they didn't change the roof of the arena, what was the old Key Arena, which incidentally was a fantastic arena. I think the only reason they had to reno it was to bring it up to current NHL standards. It only held like 11,000 for hockey when I was going in there with the Regina Pats. And actually, that's why I told you the story the other day that I went to an NBA game in Tacoma, Washington. We were playing in Tacoma because the Key Arena was being renovated in Seattle. And Darren, this was in 1993, all right? You were still running around with snot in your nose. And I was in the WHL at 20, so I wasn't that much older, to be honest with you. But anyways, I'm laughing because once we got into the Key Arena, I would say about the wildest story. It's like Story Time Wednesday with Rod. And I've had a lot of wild slobber knockers, both in the arena and out. But that particular night in Seattle, we were in, guys will remember, we broadcast right in the crowd. I got to think in Climate Pledge Arena now, they put in a damn press box. But back then, we were right in the crowd amongst all the fans. Can you imagine?
No.
So this gonger starts going off, like a literal brouhaha, not like what they have now, where guys skate around and just rub each other in the face a little bit and start crying. They kick everybody out. No. This was, and how it started was a guy by the name of Chad Wilchinski, a Detroit Red Wings prospect that we had, wore number 2 in our blue line. He spit on a fan. Okay, spit on a fan. Our guy. And then some fan, they had this 12-foot glass behind the bench. That didn't bother the Seattle fans. They reached over the glass and they're dumping beer over the glass on our coach, Richard John Preston. Rico. Well, how do you think that went over? Not well. So he turns to our trainer and goes, Torchy, get me a stick. Torchy hands him a stick. And he starts climbing the glass to get into the crowd. And I'm calling the whole thing. And our goalie was Andy Adams, a 20-year-old that we got from Ontario, from the OHL. Andy, he skates out to the top of the circles, and he's waving his arms like a WWE wrestler, like, bring it on, bring it on. And fans were throwing, I'll never forget, nacho containers, Coke cups, obviously beers, and he's swatting them out of the air. Wang, wang, wang. Like, oh, my God, it was crazy. And it was a beautiful arena, and it was the Seattle Key Arena. That's why when I heard it was being renovated, I'm like, they can't be doing too much to it, I don't think, because when the Sonics left town, I don't think there was a whole lot going on in there. They probably had to clean up some cobwebs and some dust. I knew it. That NHL scout that listens every day just wrote in, and he goes, see, you mean Donnybrook. Okay, yeah, I said brouhaha. No, it was the Donnybrook. One of many. But you've also, what do you got?
We need you and that scout to get together. We got to all put the brain trust together. I don't know who else needs to be on the committee, but we need to define Donnybrook, brouhaha, melee, and what qualifies each one. We need to have a poster board.
They all mean the same thing.
That's what I thought.
They all mean the same thing. John, he goes, sounds like something out of Slapshot, Rod. Wowzers. It got my heart beat up a little bit, but I wasn't worried about my personal safety. That happened in some other arenas down the line. But I just remember I loved that West Coast trip, and to be honest, it was like, it's one of the only things I miss about the dub. I don't miss the bus. I don't miss the cold. I don't miss guys popping zits behind me. You know, like, it was good, but it's over. But I remember going into Seattle the night, like, let's say we played in Portland, which was another story altogether. And then we played and we went straight to Seattle after a Red Robin meal in Portland, Red Robin. We'd go to Seattle, go into the rink, and I remember, you've heard this story. We went into the Key Arena to drop off our gear, and our dressing room was the same as the NBA visitors. Guess who was there the night before? The Chicago Bulls. Want to check the year? 1996. Look it up. Phil Jackson, Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen. And to be honest, at the time, we didn't think it was that big of a deal. It was life, right? So we go in and drop our gear, and I remember distinctly wanting to have a shower and walking in, and the shower heads were 12 feet high. That's another thing. But there was on the dry erase board all these diagrams from Phil Jackson. And then at the bottom of the board, it said, very simple, give the ball to Michael, and we will win. Underlined. Even this high-tech last dance Chicago Bulls, 6 NBA titles. Just give the ball to our best player. We'll win. That's how technical the Bulls got. But, if I may, one night in Lethbridge, and I know we have a lot of people watching in Lethbridge on TELUS Channel 924 and Shaw Rogers Channel 230. My dad happened to be at the game because he was scouting. And it was Regina Pats at Lethbridge Hurricane. That was the night Brian Maxwell allegedly assaulted the referee. And
Wait.
What happened in Seattle was nothing. What?
Wait. Was it allegedly assaulted the referee or allegedly assaulted the referee? You know, big difference.
What would you call? So, anyways, for whatever reason, because I had, in this particular instance, I had nothing to do with it. I didn't start a damn thing. Darren, you know me well enough. If I started it, I'd tell you. But that night in Lethbridge, I didn't do anything, and they turned on me, and they're throwing stuff at me, and they were trying to get in the booth, and my dad saw that. There's a lot. I'm not going to say what the segment of society was that was coming after me. I don't want to say it. But it was a specific group of people. That's really got you thinking, doesn't it? And they're trying to get into the press box, and my dad went and stood right in front of the door like this, and my dad was a very imposing man. And he had his arms crossed like this, like, you want to get in the booth with my kid, you got to go through me. And that ended it. Thank God for me, but the brawl was still going on under the stands. And I remember walking out of the rink. And we had Perry Andrusik was beside me, our assistant GM, and our trainer, Souls, and we're like, can you believe what just happened? That you're going to suspend Maxey forever, which he got the whole season the next year, except for the Memorial Cup final, which is a whole other story. Now, in the 2 minutes we have left before we bring Jason Gregor on, to me, that's fun. Like what David Perron did the other night and that cheap crap, I don't like that. But this stuff's fun. I don't understand why they don't want this in the dub or any sports anymore.
This is real. When you say fun stuff, it's fun stuff because the teams hated each other, you know, and the people in there had real rivalries and animosity. And so when you see fights and that kind of stuff, it was like, yeah, we don't like you. So we want to fight. We want to, you know, there's nastiness. Now it's just kind of cheap stuff, like, you know, trying to get an edge. And, you know, that stuff is definitely, yeah, you don't need that in the game. But when it's real animosity and emotion and it just happens organically like that, that's when it's fun.
Yeah, but here's the thing. They all hate each other now. They just won't say it. I'll tell you. If I don't like you, I'll tell you. But now they all act like they're friends, but they hate each other just as much as human nature. So like, let's just go back to being real. Nobody wants to do that. Okay, Moose. Fun show. Thank you.
You bet.
See you later. We're going to Edmonton next to see if these Oilers are for real. Jason Gregor joins us from Sports 1440 Edmonton. We're live on the Game Plus Television Network, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
Hi, my name is Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Told you a big hockey day today on the RP show, and Connor McDavid had 2 assists, and the streaking Oilers overcame an early goal by rookie Connor Bedard to beat the Chicago Blackhawks 4-1 Tuesday night in the first ever NHL matchup between the young stars. Jason Gregor, I gotta think, was there. And here to talk about it, this Oilers team that's won 8 in a row. Hey, Greggs, I was watching the highlights this morning on NHL Network, and Jack Michaels said, everybody in the arena is here. It's packed early on. No latecomers. Was it quite the scene last night?
Yeah, there's lots of people that, you know what, hey, Connor Bedard comes in. He's highly anticipated by fans. And, you know what, his shot really, and you saw it on that goal. I think that's probably been the one thing about Bedard that's been the most impressive. Is just his shot. The Blackhawks aren't very good. He doesn't have a lot of talent around him, especially with the injuries to Jones and Hall and the termination of Perry and Athanasiou's hurt. So, you know what? It's going to be some tough sledding for him because I don't care who you are. Even the best players need another really good player around them. If you look at the top scorers every year, Rod, usually there's a few teammates involved there. But, you know, Bedard can shoot the puck, and obviously Oilers fans know what that 97 guy does. He's pretty good as well. So I'm one who kind of thinks it's a little unfair. Like, it's true it's Connor versus Connor, but they're not on the same level. Just like McDavid when he came in as a rookie wasn't on Sidney Crosby's level. Now, a few years later, he's past Sid overall as Sid gets older. And McDavid and Bedard are a little bit closer in age, I guess, by 2 years. But I still think it'll be a while if or ever, you know, we see Bedard pushing McDavid for scoring titles and stuff like that.
Sure, but you know what? You saw Bedard at the World Juniors because it was in Edmonton. You saw him there. Did you see a measurable improvement in his game, or is he just basically the same player in your mind?
No, I think he's better. Well, obviously he's stronger. That's the one thing I noticed right away, right? Like his first few strides are a little bit more powerful. His release, though, it's ridiculous, right? Like his shot, I would say already is top 5 in the NHL at 18. Like that's just something you don't see very often. You might have a guy come in who's fast, but they're not that strong. And it was funny. I spoke to Stuart Skinner before the game because Skinner kind of joked. He goes, man, every time I go on Instagram, I've seen Bedard's release. It's all over Instagram. Every video, he says he'd probably seen it 1,000 times. And what we saw in that first goal is he pulls it in, and where he releases the puck from is so unique. And, you know, Skinner said, hey, sometimes you got to tip your hat to him and go, as a goalie, you think you can save everything. But the kid's shot is not only hard, but it's accurate. And man, does he get it away quick. So that's why, like, I think Bedard is, he's a better natural goal scorer than McDavid was when he came in the league. I don't think there's much question about that. He's more of like an Austin Matthews type shooter, right? Like if you look at the guys who have, and he's on pace, I think, for 36 goals. Well, the only guys who scored more goals than that as rookies in the Cap era are Ovechkin, Matthews, and Crosby. And keep in mind that Crosby and Ovi did it, 6 when there was tons of power plays, right? So if Bedard gets to 40, like I saw some people say 50 at the start of the year, and I'm like, guys, 50 is ridiculously hard, right? Like how many guys in the NHL active have done it in their careers? So I think Bedard, if he got to 40, Rod, would be amazing.
On a really bad team, and that was a 6-game drought that he snapped last night. You talk so much Oilers, I don't know if you get tired of it. I mean, we'll come back on the Oilers, but I want your take on the future of the Blackhawks, because here in South Florida now, there are more hockey fans than people would think. And they're saying to me, poor Bedard, they got to get rid of him in Chicago. It's not fair to him. And I'm like, no, you don't understand how teams are built. Like, what do you see the next 5 to 10 years in Chicago if they do it right? And that's a big if. But what can Blackhawks fans look forward to, do you think?
Well, I always chuckle at that. So Connor Bedard is 18. He's played what? Less than 30 NHL games. Oh, he's got it so hard, Rod. We just, you know what? Let's baby everybody. Give me a break. Suck it up, Buttercup. Guess what? Most of the guys who are top picks go to bad teams, because that's how the draft system works. I think Chicago is going to have to surround him. Like Kevin Korchinski, who was taken the first round a year before, that guy looks really good. Unfortunately, he's injured too right now for the Blackhawks. So I think the Hawks' injuries are likely going to give them the best chance to win the lottery again. Will they get Celebrini? We'll see. But, they'll get another solid player. But then I think what Chicago needs to do, and I think they tried to do it by bringing in Hall and Foligno and Perry. And obviously Hall got injured, and Perry, everybody knows what happened there. But I think it's imperative to surround him with some veteran quality players on short-term deals. Don't get sucked into paying these guys long-term deals and then having it kill you in 2 or 3 years. They're not a cap team, so they can afford on 1 or 2 year deals to overpay some guys who are quality players. So, because you don't want to just get your teeth kicked in every game, because it's part of the process to eventually winning. You want to somewhat be competitive after a while, and so not right away. Right? Not necessarily right away, but like they can't be this bad and this thin next season.
I appreciate the analysis. And so to the Oilers, because you're so close to it, what is the reason for the turnaround? People are going to look at the coaching change and say that's it. And that's the big picture, yeah, but micro focus, what have they done differently in your mind? What have you seen?
Well, there are some differences, but number one, Rod, they're just playing up to their potential. Like the Edmonton Oilers came into the season with the second most wins in their last 100 games. They were a good team. Like only them and Florida have played that many playoff series the last few years, right? So, actually Florida played 6, Edmonton played 5. That's the 2 most in the league. So when you look at Edmonton, they were a good team who was playing terrible to start the year. And, Jay Woodcroft and Dave Manson got let go, I think, because they weren't showing any signs that they were going to figure out how to fix it, right? Like they just kept dwindling down and getting worse and worse. And so now some would argue, hey, they won their last game. So, maybe they were going to turn around, and there's some validity to that. So I think what Knobloch and Coffey have come in, it's not so much a massive systemic difference, Rod. It's really a lot about positivity. Knobloch and Coffey have come in, and really the team was lacking confidence. Individuals were lacking confidence, and they just came in and really tried to pump them up. Like Paul Coffey, the defenseman, tell me, like, he's just like really positive on the bench. If you make a mistake, he doesn't tell you about it because you made the mistake. He just says, hey, I need your next shift. Let's go. And he gives you a reason to just kind of erase it and move on from it. And the one thing Coffey's done, though, has said, let's make plays. And let's stop with the risky plays. And anybody who's watched the Oilers over the last few years, the one thing they were the best at, Rod, they could gift goals better than anyone. They were the Santa Claus of the NHL. Even when they would play well, there'd be one of those just, what the bleep are you doing? And they've eliminated that. And also Mark Stewart has changed the penalty kill, because the penalty kill was bad. And the penalty kill was never great for any extended period of time under Woodcroft's tenure. Like they had a stretch last year. I think it was the final 20 games. They were pretty good. But other than that, it's been an issue. Their penalty kill has been amazing. And Stewart, he did a few changes. He just said, we're going to 2 pairs of defense, Ceci and Nurse, Ekholm and Desharnais. Now, Kulak will rotate in when there's an injury, or a penalty, I should say. And then he's got 3 pairs of forwards. And they don't use McDavid and Draisaitl as much. Draisaitl's still out there because of his face-offs, but they basically run Nugent Hopkins and Derek Ryan. Then they run Brown and Janmark, and then they run McLeod and Fogle. And they keep them in those duos as much as they can, excluding penalties. And it's really worked. Like, their penalty kill looks way, way better.
Well, I'll say this and wrap it up with this. Somewhat tongue-in-cheek and a little bit devil's advocate. So the goaltending's okay now? Wouldn't it be nice if Jack Campbell had the chance to play behind this crew?
Have you seen some of the Jack Campbell goals he's allowed in the American League, Rod? Like, when you're allowing goals from the boards on the top of the circle, like, I'm sorry. Like, hey, I agree that Jack Campbell wasn't the only issue, but Jack Campbell hasn't been consistent enough in his position. Stuart Skinner's played better. No question. It helps when your team defense, ask Aiden Hill, any goalie will tell you it's better. So, Jack Campbell, will we see him up here? Maybe at some point, but I don't think they have to rush it right now, because if they bring Campbell up, they have to send a goalie and a forward down because of the cap situation. So I could see him maybe coming up in the new year, but, team defense is better, goalie's better, and so is offense, Rod. They were 26th in offense, which is stunning, and they're back to where they are. They're the best scoring team in the league. Their 4th line has 7 goals in the last 13 games, for goodness sake. So they can score, but the big thing, Rod, that I've seen is they commit to defense finally. And that's I have an article coming out today at Oilers Nation. It's all about that we know that you can score. We've seen it, but are they going to commit to defense? And that's what they've done in this 8-game streak. Like you mentioned, the early goal to Bedard. They didn't give up they gave up 2 high danger scoring chances in the first period. They gave up none the rest of the game. Right? Like, they figured out how to lock down defensively, and that still allows them to score.
I'm just saying, you heard it, I heard it. Maybe you were saying it, but I heard it very loud out of Edmonton. We don't have NHL caliber goaltending.
Well, and Dustin Schwartz, right? Dustin Schwartz, they never develop a goalie. And I'm like, pardon? Stuart Skinner was the runner-up for the Rookie of the Year. He made the All-Star team. Did he have a bad first 11 games? Yes. And so a sophomore player might not have a perfect season the next year. Oh, like Matty Beniers and Matt Barzal. Do you want me to go down the list of rookies who struggle in their second year? There's tons of them. So, yeah, that's the one that probably chuckled me more. But I do understand the Campbell thing, because the year before he was very inconsistent, even when the team was good. And then he had a really good preseason, Rod. He looked very sharp in his games. And the regular season came, and he didn't have a good team defense, but he also let in a few goals where you're just like, how's that go in? So I think with Campbell, it's more between the ears than it is just technically. And, we'll see. He's going to get some playing time in the minors here. He's already had 9 games, and we'll see where he's at. But I don't think, part of me says there's no need to rush him the way Calvin Pickard played. There's no reason to rush him. Let him gain some confidence. I'm a big believer in confidence. We talked about it. Look at the Oilers. Their players have confidence now. So if Jack Campbell gets confidence, then yeah, maybe he can come back and help their team.
Gregor, thanks for coming on. Keep on keeping on, man. Appreciate the time.
Rod, anytime, buddy. Have a good one.
Sports 1440, Edmonton's Jason Gregor. One of the good ones. We'll be back with Overtime right after this, live on Game Plus TV, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Hi, my name's Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the city of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new Halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at iksgameday.com.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Hey, everybody. It's overtime, and you know that's brought to you by our great friends at Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary. Just a slap shot away from the old Crossroads Flea Market. 28, Northeast 28th Avenue, where skill and fun collide. It's like batting cages, but for hockey. If you love hockey and you love going to the batting cages, why wouldn't you check out Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary, one of our proud partners in Cowtown? And we love the city so much, can't wait until we are there next. Go check them out. Tell them the RP Show sent you. Daytime sports talk is just so great. And I'll say it again, nothing against the other networks, but at least we're not replaying SportsCenter over and over and over again. We're giving you the today's news like this out of Winnipeg. The Jets have placed leading scorer Kyle Connor on injured reserve with a knee injury. The Jets announced the move on social media today and did not provide a timetable for the forward's return to action. The team said forward Dominic Toninato was called up from the AHL's Manitoba Moose on an emergency basis. Connor was injured after a knee-on-knee collision with Ducks forward Ryan Strome in the Jets' 4-2 win at Anaheim on Sunday. And I don't know, I saw somewhere that Kyle Connor was out 6 to 8 weeks. Did I dream that? I might have dreamt it. I've had some really whacked out dreams lately. Did you see that, Clark, anywhere that Connor was out 6 to 8 weeks? That's what I saw, somewhere. Yeah, well, you saw it, but here's the Jets saying today there's no timetable on his return. So what are we going with? Let's go with no timetable. That's a lot more gray area. From the National Football League, the NFL will play a regular season game in Brazil in 2024. The first in South America in the latest expansion of the NFL's rapidly growing international plan. The leagues, and I'd say it with disgust because I'm like, they're so far ahead of every other league, it's not even funny. The league said today at the owners' meetings in Dallas, the game will be played at Arena Corinthians in Sao Paulo, Brazil. Is that really any relation to Gino DePaoli? Clark, do we know? Sorry, I'll leave you alone. The stadium has a capacity of nearly 50,000. and was a venue for the 2014 World Cup and 2016 Olympics. The NFL played its first 2 regular season games in Frankfurt, Germany this year, with 3 more in London. There are 5 planned for 2024 as well. 3 in London to go with games in Germany and Brazil. Like, wow. I think the NFL, unless I've completely misread it, which I don't think I have, they couldn't do anything wrong. Even if they tried, they couldn't screw this stuff up. That's how big they are now. Going to Brazil. Sports Updates brought to you by Landmark Cinemas. In Landmark Cinemas now, Silent Night. From legendary director John Woo and the producer of John Wick comes this gritty revenge tale of a tormented father who witnesses his young son die when caught in a gang's crossfire on Christmas Eve. Just so you know, I went on the weekend. I will give it 1.5 thumbs up from the Monday morning goalie. I liked it. I'm not sure you would. There wasn't a spoken word in the whole movie, hence the Silent Night double entendre. But as I just said, the dad sees his kid get killed who's 7. You know what the dad does? He takes defense training, learns how to shoot a gun, handle a knife, and goes and wipes out every single member of that gang until he works his way up to the gang leader, and guess what happens there? So, if that's something you might be interested in, you'd like Silent Night. We're also brought to you by Common Crown Brewing Company, our sports updates, turning your everyday common beer into a unique and exceptional experience. Visit commoncrown.ca. Just a quick check of the Sober Carpenter text line, 902-518-3033, Steve in Saskatoon. Ha! For James, yeah, well, I'll save that one. Kirk in Toronto says, hi, Rod. I was in Seattle when the arena was under renos in 2019. The roof was kept, but the inside was gutted. Floor was lowered for hockey. There you go. Thanks for the info, Kirk. I wondered what they did. Wilf and Steinbach. The only NHL rinks I have not been in are the new Edmonton rink and Montreal. And then he says, in Canada, of course. Well, isn't that interesting? Because the top rinks people are telling me they want to go to are Montreal, T-Mobile in Vegas, and Edmonton, Rogers Place. And I am very, very, very lucky and blessed to have been to them all. We'll see you tomorrow, noon Eastern. Hope you enjoyed this hockey show, everybody. Have a great day.
McFly, hello.